Here's where we're working on patching, sanding, and then painting these holes where Thomas punched a hole in the wall due to things like us taking his phone away or giving him a punishment of some kind. I always wanted to be a dad. I've been a caregiver really since I was 15. Growing up, it was not the easiest time. My father was paralyzed in a car accident, and I essentially had to raise and provide care for my 3 younger siblings. And my mother, also as a result of the accident with my father and caring for him, got into alcoholism. So in many ways, I was her counselor during high school as well. To start our family, my wife and I decided to adopt. So when Kate and I saw John and Thomas separately, we immediately wanted to make them part of our family. We knew from early on that Thomas had ADD, ADHD, and dyslexia, and he was amazingly transformational in the way he overcame dyslexia in particular. So it always was a challenge to him in terms of going to school in the classroom. And then that evolved into some other issues, some of which we didn't know in detail. His loneliness, his feelings of isolation, even depression. And that became a challenge to deal with that later turned into an addiction.
I was depressed a lot when I was a teenager, and that's one of the reasons I started using drugs, also to be included.
Thomas started going to parties, he started using substances, we weren't sure what he was doing. We recognized that he was not participating as much in family activities, he wasn't acting like himself, he was disappearing at different hours.
I was acting out and getting kicked out of school when I did bother to show up. I would be up all night doing meth and meeting up with people.
I had to be ready for the phone to ring at any time because as this progressed, really anybody could call. It could be his school, it could be the hospital, it could be the morgue, it could be anyone saying that Thomas had an issue. So it wasn't really a question of if, but when. But I had to be ready to be able to address whatever came up at that time, to be able to provide support for him. It wasn't until he actually first went into rehab that my wife and I started to realize that it really took a toll on us in terms of the impact that it had, and the way Thomas had treated us was part of that journey. He did go to detox, he did go to a rehab over near Vancouver. He ended up getting kicked out of that rehab after about a month, not because of substances, but because of the rules that he didn't want to abide by. Basically, the rehab said, come pick him up, otherwise we're gonna dump him on the streets of Vancouver. He can't stay here anymore. So we picked him up, brought him back on the ferry, and I can remember it like it was yesterday. We were driving down the highway and he said, can I come home? And it was the toughest decision that we had to make, was to say, you didn't abide by our agreement. Our agreement was we can't even talk about coming home until you go through rehab. So at that time, my wife and I decided we had to say no. And we had to essentially drop him off with his social worker in Victoria. And he found transition housing and was dealing with that. And then roughly about a month and a half after that, we got a phone call from the hospital.
I was really pissed off, and right away I got back into like the same crowd of people. I decided to overdose because I could just see the way things were going. It felt like it wasn't going to change and the cycle would just continue, and I didn't want to continue to hurt people, so I just thought I would end it.
That was his rock bottom. But then the recovery began for all of us really from that point. He essentially then went into detox and got another spot, thank goodness, in another rehab program. And the average number of rehabs is 7 before recovery. So this was Thomas's second. And since that point, he actually is now 14 months sober, which we're so proud of. He's always been our transformational child, and gradually we saw glimmers of Thomas coming back, his sense of humor. He got into reading again, he got into watching movies again. More his natural, lovable self was coming through. And it was surprising how long that it took, but we had to be patient. So even being totally clean of drugs, totally in rehab, going to group therapy, reflecting on a situation, trying to improve himself, there still was a long period of time he was dealing with a brain injury in many different ways, and I think that continues to today. But thank goodness we now, after 12, 14 months, we have Thomas back.
I'm proud of myself because I was able to overcome my addiction, and I was also able to reconnect with my family, and that's sometimes a hard thing to do. I'm very happy with where I'm at now. I have my own place. I have a job at a retirement home, and what I'm looking forward to is being able to work in social services later to help other youth like me. My parents were a huge support for me, especially my dad.
Anything can happen, but he really has made a tremendous recovery and is a changed person. He's gotten the medication he's needed, he's gotten the therapy he's needed, he's matured, he's grown through this, and we really have a much stronger relationship than we've ever had. The addict in your life can easily become the center of your whole existence as a caregiver, but keep in mind you've got other relationships that are important to hold on to. We've all shown resilience in our own way to be able to handle this journey and to be able to go forward.
Hey, Shaman.
Hey, buddy, about time.
Yeah.
You have all down the wall there right here.